hit that nice, easy plane path coming down the center of the map.
Oh, Moses, I gotta say I'm hyped. We're in the last 3 rounds of this, $100,000 on the table. I don't know if I'm as hype as Dave and the lighting guy are. I mean, they have some energy going with it.
That was insane.
But I'm pretty hyped nonetheless. We got, again, like you're talking about, very easy plane path that's gonna be coming through here. One of the things I gotta say, Moses, we've been seeing a lot of nice plane paths and very centralized circles. When do we get the evil circle? When do we get the Milta circle, the Stolber circle, the Zarky circle? That's really going to throw these guys off their game. We might be getting close to it at this point. Like, mathematically, it has to happen sooner or later, right?
Sooner or later, yes, indeed. That military circle will throw these teams through a loop if we do see it. But for now, teams are just headed down. And really, we talked about this a little bit in the pre-show there. If your team gates, is this a mental issue for you?
Maybe. I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to, I think. Like, you know that they're playing off of a little bit of a defensive position. They did well. They qualified for Berlin. They pushed through. And now they really wanted to make a statement. Because naturally, that was their first big call to fame. They're like, hey, we're here. We've made it.
Right.
We're going to Berlin. This time around, they really wanted to show up. And I almost think that they kind of outthought themselves inside of that. They put themselves under too much pressure.
Indeed, and maybe not taking this as seriously as they might want to, but for FaZe, they are taking it absolutely seriously. They have something to prove, and they're showing it here.
And so with this, everybody's kind of separated out. Nothing too crazy at this point. We've kind of seen Envy. They kind of rotate sometimes. They're going to go and do their little Nova push over there. We've got our Alliance guys hanging out down at Military Base. But look way up in the north. We've got NRG actually going up, hitting the Stolber area around Kameshki. This is kind of a zone that you go to whenever you're kind of wanting to play as safe as possible.
Right. But you get such a long rotation. If the circle goes anywhere south, NRG is going to be forced to have this long drive. And really, we've talked about this through the tournament. Rotation phases are so key. And if you have to make a longer drive, you leave yourself much more open to getting attacked on the way there.
Oh, the map has popped up. Where's the circle going to be going? We've got our guys at NRG over next to Kameshki/Kamikaze, as sometimes it's referred to.
Lucky M.
And here we go. We're starting talking about awkward circles, and I brought it, Moses. This is what I'm known for.
50-50 water in this first circle. We see FaZe in their comfort zone, not having to leave, at least for a little while. FaZe headed to their home in Milta Power. For Yempty and the rest of the squad, they have to be flying high, but they can't let that early success get to them and distract them from what the task is ahead.
Well, this is almost the downside. Sometimes whenever you play one of these very far eastern circles and you end up with circle favor, it's really, really hard because then you know everybody's going to be pushing over next to you. If you're one of these guys that's like Ghost, having to do a hard push off the west side, you're going to get like 2 seconds to loot at this point. That's going to make going through the mid-game so difficult.
Meanwhile, McCoy out in a leisurely boat drive down in Primorsk. He is split away from his team. We have seen Ghost, a perennial contender for the top half of the leaderboard, really struggling so far. And you have to wonder, they've come off their PGI qualifier playing with an essentially super team, missing Balak and Turtle, Profi, and McCoy playing with Caden and Check Shooter. Envy looked very good. Ghost clearly not having the tournament they wanted. What do you think's happening with them?
Well, it's kind of odd because right now we're seeing Ghost and Envy cycle back and forth. Maybe they still have that team synergy because it seems like one of them is hot and then the other one's not, and then they rotate it around.
Indeed.
We're not seeing just strong performances and consistent performance coming out of both of them. I know that Ghost is one of the favorites, but you can see on the leaderboard on the far left side, they're not necessarily sitting in the best spot right now, whereas Envy still holding on. They're in that cusp area where they could potentially move their way up into the 4th, 5th, a little bit higher spot.
Totality having a good first day, finding themselves in Yasnaya once again, slowly trickling down the leaderboards in day number 2, not having the team fight success, the rotational success we saw in day number 1. For Totality, a middling team, but flashes of greatness, a team we all expected to really hit the scene and keep running, but they just haven't had that consistency we expected.
You know they have to be really annoyed right now. Like, they had a great performance. They were, I believe, in 4th place at the start of today, and they've just had a little bit of a decline, slowly pulling them back down. That being said, this is a circle that does favor Yasnaya very well, so hopefully that'll give them a little bit more comfort moving into this round specifically.
So for Envious, Caden, we've heard some rumors through the break a little bit that Envious is looking at this tournament as one more shot to make this roster work.
Are we going to start talking roster apocalypse that's after in PGI?
Well,
That's where it starts getting a little dangerous.
And, really, and sometimes it's a necessity as well because really NA and many esports has had this talent pool that is often spread among multiple teams, and that really hinders them. we've seen what a super team can do. They qualified for one of the biggest tournaments coming up. Here at the WSOE, it just hasn't been clicking for many of these NA teams that have tons of talent, but just maybe spread too thin.
I think that it almost kind of says what's happening inside of the leaderboard. You know, everybody does the running meme, EU versus NA and everything else like that. NA had a great performance day one. If they were just a little bit stronger, maybe they could have held on to some of these leaderboards positions. And I gotta say, FaZe is just showing up. I don't necessarily think it's an NA versus an EU situation. It's just that EU is so good about building those super teams that you're talking about.
Right.
Maybe if we got separated out some of these like single players that are just such star performers on their team and then brought them together into something like huge and glorious, it would be a beautiful thing to see.
And really going toe-to-toe with the likes of FaZe, now topping the leaderboard. FaZe, a team that has a long storied history on their own, coming through the beginnings of competitive PUBG, finding themselves frequently at the top, online, now at LAN, and really you can never count them out. We went out to dinner last night with Fuzzface, not a word spoken about PUBG. All smiles, all laughs, not concerned about their placement at all.
Yeah, they just feel comfortable. I mean, I know I've had a couple of run-ins with the FaZe guys as we talk different strategy things. You can see that they're very set in the way they feel that PUBG should be played. And whenever they execute on it, man, it's beautiful to watch. It's just, you can see them take control over areas. They'll just go into a circle. They just come in with confidence, and they will just walk into places. They'll take the shots that they feel that they know they can get. And here we go, crates from heaven. What are we getting to start off here?
Oh, there's an M249 stuck up on the prison ridge there, but that level 3 helmet, that level 3 vest, definitely the prize. We've seen the M249 play a factor. Looks like the Knights may be getting a little interested in this.
M249 could be very big in a circle such as this because you're going to see a lot of cars transitioning into very dangerous points. There's a lot of good choke points that can come into here. And let's be honest, just a ton of players that are still going to be up and alive. So something that can just spit out that many bullets could just destroy people in transitions.
The AWM also a great choice, but for now it looks like the Knights have opted not to go for that crate unless Texas is the one jumping up to grab it. Yeah, I guess you want to have it in the hands of the guy who wants the most kills. We've talked about it all the way through this tournament. Texas wants kills, and now he's going to have that M249, that level 3 helmet. He's setting himself up for a nice, easy, and well-equipped mid-game.
What's so funny is if you ever get to know Texas, he's just like this lovable, super nice guy. And then like you see him play and it's just like his eyes turn red. He's like, I'm going to murder everyone around me. And it's just such an interesting dichotomy between the two different personalities that come through. But you can see a lot of teams already opting to rotate very early. That's going to be big in a circle such as this. Whenever you have a circle that's really hard pressed off to one side of the map, you know that real estate's going to become a commodity very quickly. So Method already making their jaunt over here. The teams
close
that
to the Knights as well, mind you.
Keep in mind, a lot of these teams are still not necessarily done with their looting phase because, again, those long rotations we saw out, that's going to force them to play the edge.
What's that I hear? That's Andy Powell receiving some more fire on his way through. Andy having a good time here in Vegas, not so much so in the game. He's been finding himself eliminated early a lot, maybe too much time at the poker table.
I hear that he's doing pretty well at the poker tables, but let's be honest, Method's doing really well. They're still in 4th spot. I mean, Andy might have a couple of bad rotations that are coming through, but we have seen some clutch performances coming out from the guys on Method.
Totality picking up the first blood bonus. They do take down Riem from Cloud9, and speaking of which, Andy finding himself under fire from Totality as well. And may the caster curse continue. Andy trying to duck away and escape Los HD's watchful eye. So for Method, they have actually been doing quite well. They sit in 4th place on the back of some great individual snaking performances from HC. At that, at some point, you're not going to get lucky.
They had 2 different strong clutch performances. They had Etsy's yesterday, and then they had Rafi's that was earlier today.
Absolutely, yep.
Where you can see just patience coming through inside of there. Meanwhile, you've got Andy that's just like, murder everything around me, taking the pot shots over there.
He's got the skill. He's got the skill.
He does, and he plays very, very confident. And that's one of the things I do like about him. Now, that makes it dangerous, though, because he will want to go for those 1v1s that don't always work out the best.
Wow,
Speaking of not working out the best, Cloud9's having a rough rotation.
So for Cloud9, multiple casualties. Method also losing a couple. Taro taking one down. Moldman goes out from Method. Nothing to be done about that. So Method, again in rotation. They had a long trek, and that's the issue with these type of circles.
Again, we were talking about it. It's so hard to center up. That's what everybody wants to do inside of a circle like this. You want to center as best you can in whenever it's a large circle because mathematically, less of a chance you have to move. And we talked about it a second ago. Rotations are where you die. It's what we're seeing. Everybody's in these vehicles, pushing out and around, taking damage.
Not something you want to see. Not something you want to see. FaZe grabbing that AWM, that wayward crate. They did find it. Energy having skirted around Method and Totality, now arriving in a compound to their own. Stab facing elimination already so far. He's going to have to snake his way into the mid-game. Energy doing all right so far, not taking too much damage. Method did grab a nice compound, even though it did cost him a player.
One of these things I like about a circle like this is you see a lot of interesting points of the map that don't get a lot of normal play. Every team has like their own little de facto area that they like in this, so you can see that NRG is kind of playing this hillside area. That's actually a fairly strong point that you can play around. You have to know that you're probably not going to end up with too many of the circles still maintaining this very far eastern push. And Profi catching some air, coming through there. Well, we've been seeing a lot of nice motorcycle plays coming through here. At some point, somebody's going to get confident enough to like do the backflip or the front flip on the motorcycle.
Look at Profi, how far he is away from the rest of his team. He's in the lead vehicle. Ghost not having a good game. Now, again, kicking back to some of these roster
McCoy
issues.
way down here.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, we were just watching Profi that was way up in the north.
Yeah, they're
they're
completely split out from each other. Profi known, at least in my opinion, to have some issues in rotation. He's always in the lead vehicle, a little too far away from the rest of his team. He's getting very close to Method. He's finding himself in danger here. He's scouting compounds, but he's got no backup. He's got nowhere to stop if anything goes wrong. If you're Profi, you have to play this very carefully.
Well, this kind of goes into the scouting route. You know what I mean? You send your guy very far ahead. You try to get what information you can. That becomes the big question. Do you send the guy that's much more the support style player, or do you send the run and gunner? In this case, Ghost, they like to lean in with their gunner. The problem with it is, if Profi does get caught in a bad situation, you lose him really early, and that really does hurt Ghost.
Well, fair play from Profi. He did decide that it was just a little bit too dangerous to venture any further south. McCoy, I think, is going to try and get that boat all the way around and rejoin his team at the very far portion of the north. But looks like Ghost is going to have to stop a little bit further away from center than they might have wanted.
Looks like we also do have the Envy guys that are caught on the outside of the circle at the direct time. They're being a little bit slower in their transition in. They're back behind Alliance right now, who's just ahead of the circle as they're making this push across the beach just to the south of Hilton.
You have to wonder for Alliance. Ooh, empty.
Now this could be big.
That space
if
station.
FaZe and Space Station catch right now, that could be huge.
This early in the game as well. Yempty's got that AWM. He is ready to unleash fury on Space Station Gaming. He can see Smurf. He's just scouting. He doesn't want to let him know just yet. Looking for that opportunity. No way to follow up on that initial barrage. But Space Station Gaming is interested in totality across the street.
And this is the point. You can see this is where the third party becomes a big, big factor. If Space Station starts to push back down, are we going to see Smurf? I think that Smurf did spot him. Yeah. Now the shots are going to start coming through. Now he does still have the strong sniper rifle, but he's under a little bit more duress. And fighting up this hillside is kind of hard sometimes. You got to go with some confident pinks coming out here. And I got to say, he's sitting on this for quite a while.
Looking for that headshot. I know Yempty, he wants that precision sniper shot. The rest of FaZe split out a little bit further away. Good map control so far, and we are finding that initial circle already has transition, and we are going to stay on that eastern side of the map.
Oh man, still so much water inside of it. 60 people still up and alive. You can see, if we bring up the mini-map right now and show everything, everybody's already kind of clustered into any of the good spots. All these teams that are coming in late and were forced to play Edge beforehand have nowhere to go.
So this Edge team, if you're a little bit late, you're going to find yourself with nowhere to call home. Space Station Gaming already making their initial rotation. Jumping on their vehicles, they win, just barely dodging it. Meanwhile, D-Master has gone down from Space Station.
And it's not going to get finished off. Mexy's got the line of sight onto it. Anybody going to finish off with... No, I thought somebody might just...
There it is, Mixie finishing it off with D-Master. H-Win having dodged the bullet from Yempty, making his motorcycle push. So the first down coming to Space Station Gaming at the hands of FaZe, the first place team.
I gotta say, FaZe feels like they've just embraced the momentum. You know, that was one of the things they were talking about in the interviews between this, whenever there was the halftime section. You know, they just wanted to keep the momentum rolling, and so they took their time, had a little bit of lunch. Now they still have that momentum, you can tell. Meanwhile, we've got Gates trying to figure out how they want to make their play inside of this, and they're gonna hard crash way on the end of Lippo, running right by the Vitality guys.
Vitality cannot maintain control of the entirety of Lipovka. There's just no way to do it. You can see Space Station Gaming already arriving in the warehouses. Method has their hands full with the Knights. Andy Pyro having to throw the defensive utility already. The Knights with the high ground, and looks like Method does have firepower here, but they have to be careful because really Knights have so many flanking options.
Well, one of the interesting things we're seeing is a lot of interaction between EU teams right now specifically. They tend to like to play this side of the map, so the North American teams are kind of running in very last minute. Most of the EU teams are already kind of fortified in a position. As you can see, Method's trying to bounce around, but Knights, FaZe, all these guys have lockdown points that they want to control.
So for the Knights, they have to decide, do we want to take this fight this early? Being on the high ground is an advantage, but you also have vision from teams like NRG, Gates. They can see where you're standing. You can't stand and hold a fight in the open without. And there's Exco.
Hey, you know
He's
life
the
is
cave
bad.
dweller.
Right there. You know life is bad when you're hiding down on the side of this, just going, all right, well, I'm just going to sit here for as long as necessary.
Yeah, catching crabs down there, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe just doing some fishing, you know, talking to some people, just hoping somebody shoots the guys on top of you.
All right, so for the Knights, I don't really know if they can really do anything about Method. Method can't really do anything about the Knights because they're in the same position. Method holding this hillside. The shots are ringing out, and they do have a down as well. So for Raffy, oh, Andy's down.
Yeah,
Imagine
so Raffy's going to have to retreat back around. Keep in mind, Raffy has done some nice plays throughout the day so far, but that should be a fairly easy disengage. The only problem with it is if they find themselves caught in a crossfire, because now they're kind of pinned inside of this shack. Trying to extricate themselves from this is going to be hard. It's going to come down to 8C and providing some form of cover, maybe some type of relief so that way they can get out of there. But let's be honest, Motorcycle is going to be torn to shreds because they didn't get a chance to hide it.
Yeah, no trades available for AC if he does want to do any protection for his teammates. So now Method, having found themselves in a decent center position, now have no flexibility of movement and are essentially trapped in this shack. So much utility being used early, Matrim.
Yeah, and at this point, you can just tell. They know they have to be separated. They're just going to have to play how the circle goes. I just got to say, we still have so much water in here, but look at Envy down in the bottom right of the map. They're sneaking into Milta Power. They found a nice little crash point. They're just letting everybody fight each other right now, not making any big plays, and still holding on to a boat with this much water. Big. Just commit. Just commit and gun it. Let's see.
Come on. You can't get out because you fall to your death.
Yeah.
Are they stuck?
No, okay, he's got it. He's got it.
Oh, he's all right.
You just got to Skyrim your way down this as
goat.
best you can. Now, it'd be funny if it falls. Oh my God, it's going to fall. okay, it's fine. It's fine.
Everything's great.
It's fine.
Everything's great.
It's okay.
All right,
Everybody breathe. Everybody breathe. Jump, make the jumps.
Makes it. There we go. All right.
Wait, they still have one more.
And Jesse will make it too. Yeah. So the Nautical Envious is going to jump in the boat and try and get around here. Interesting strategy so far from Envious, but that circle not leaving a lot of options.
Yeah, I mean, with this much water that's inside of it, they're just making the plays that they can. And see where we've got to move that to. We've got NRG that's making their push off to the side of it. I find it kind of funny. Remember, he was the guy that had the boat. And so now they've just all opted into taking the boat. Andy Pyro having to take some pot shots at NRG, encroaching on the backside of this.
NRG has moved all the way up. They are not allowing any space to move for Method. Dignitas also arriving behind NRG, and they can maybe sense that going to get a little hot here, but NRG still sticking with those vehicles. You can see Matrim is getting very frantic. No one knows where to go.
Well, there's just still so much water inside of the circle. There's not anywhere that you can really make a play around. You know at some point it has to shift away from the water.
Oh, that nade looks good. That lands right in the pocket, right next to NRG. Oh, wow.
A little bit further back. So now
there
the fight's still coming out.
Wow.
Follows up and through. I got to say, this is a strong push coming out from Ghost. Look at Profi way off in the distance, but Dignitas does look like they hear this. If we see Profi taking these shots, it could be Dignitas that forces the fight. NRG's trying to figure out if they want to commit off of this. Dignitas full step up around the outside.
Ghost is in trouble, I think. Ghost is in trouble. They have NRG at their front, Dignitas at their back. Only a little bit of cover to work with. Dignitas has the high ground. They do take one down. Nerf Me does go down, and now Ghost is getting shredded from behind.
Block's gotten torn apart. You can see the guys from Ghost are just dropping down.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't matter. Dignitas is just lighting them up. Everybody is just getting destroyed. Dignitas has such great positioning.
Oh, and there is Wookie Bookie giving a little bit of a taunt there. McCoy, the last man standing from Ghost. That was a terrible push. It just went south for Ghost so quickly.
2 squads.
I know,
Two squads just almost got destroyed. Well, one of them essentially did, and you can see one's hiding in the smoke at this point. Once the smoke wears out. Meanwhile, Exco still down there like, you guys just enjoy that.
Everything's great. Stabs there as well. So the Beach Boys hanging down there, but look at Lapovka filling with players.
This is the worst neighborhood ever. Hey, there's McCoy. You were asking where McCoy is. Now we know where he's at.
He's not moving, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, no, he's hiding out right there. Space Station Gaming in a strong position. But if we see a shift away from the water,
yeah, it's very possible.
Boy, that fight around Lippo is going to get bloody real quick.
And that's the issue when you crash into a town. Yes, it provides you that temporary refuge. Yes, you're in the center of the circle. But eventually, there's going to be a pressure point building in this area. All of Envious is there, the solo player from Team Gates, all of Optic. This is a hotbed of activity. Even Vitality is holding the northern side. And if this circle shifts away from that water, FaZe has great map control, and the Knights are playing gatekeepers on the western side.
See, popping over here with FlyQuest, looks like they're trying to figure out where they want to position at, because it's predominantly hills at this point.
Right.
The teams have already kind of secured the main building points. You can see Knights got control of theirs. FaZe hasn't had to move a whole bunch. FlyQuest just trying to find some type of home. Usually you see somebody shifts over there where Tempo Storm's at, and you can see FlyQuest is already making that transition point. A lot of teams like to play around this area, but that could put them right in touching distance of Tempo Storm.
So for Microstar, he's getting very close to Tempo Storm. FlyQuest in a hail of bullets, trying to get away. Nothing landing for Oh! Poonage falling off the motorcycle, maybe bailing a little bit too early. The nade follow-up from Zampa lands very close to Sharky. Oh, nice throw.
I gotta say, that was some great play coming out of there. They just rounded that corner and Tempo just activated off of it. Now only Steezy BB up and alive, and you can see right next to Tempo Storm. I think that they got so caught up in the motorcycle fight, they don't know his position though.
So for Steezy BB, now the last man standing. They're not aware. Tempo Storm maybe feeling a little safe. They don't seem to be very concerned at the fact that there's anyone there. So we'll have to check back in with Steezy shortly. But now we're about to see another transition. Totality, Team Gates, Method Knights all piling up in that top left portion of the play zone. There's just so much activity there. Dignitas, having come in slowly from the north, is now facing another rotation. And it is going to come off the water. And FaZe is going to stay safe for now. But for Method and the Knights, lots of pressure coming their way.
Yeah, the Method guys, they're already under fire. We saw them just a second ago kind of caught up in their shack. They now know. That's why Auzom is going active. He has to provide some type of cover so the guys from Method can't get
right
out.
there.
Does he see it? I think that he saw it. Just a tip of... Is he going to step around
Kramer
this?
didn't hear him, I don't think.
No. He's holding that angle, but it's so dangerous to step out and around. Is Kramer going to play this forward? He's got the cover position. It's got to be on Etsy to make the call, make the push out, because he's got two teammates that are still pinned in that shack. You know that's exactly where Kramer is looking at.
If he steps out, AC will absolutely murder him, but Kramer does back off. AC does not have the ability to trade. There is no one there to support him. He's just waiting and hoping. Will Kramer come out? He spots him.
AC, you going to take this shot?
Here it is.
They go wide. He doesn't full connect.
Come on.
Look at the juice.
Oh, no.
Kramer somehow turns that back around. That's terrible for Method.
For Rafi, he does get the down, but AC was completely eliminated. Method, that was a complete something we've seen from AC.
What was that move that he did? He like kneeled down, leaned to the side. He like that was Matrix level moves coming out there. But we've got Totality coming right up on top of it. Meanwhile, Andy Pyro does look like he's still taking some shots around the outside shack. Dignitas did circle back out and around, but now they have twice the work cut out for him because to disengage from this, now not only do they have to run through Knights, they have to go through Totality.
Totality has arrived in force. Now the Knights having fended off that initial trade. I think they got Kramer up. He is looking in the direction of Totality Energy, making a hard push in vehicles right past Dignitas. Schnark hoping and praying he can make it. Looks like he's going to go a little bit further past Dignitas, but the journey is not over yet. That Lipovka region also starting to heat up, and the Knights are taking it to Totality. Oh my God, that might have been a complete team wipe for Totality almost.
I think that they just got torn apart up there. Meanwhile, we've got Vitality holding a strong angle. You're seeing the Lipo fight slowly start to break out as everybody's trying to figure out how they have to reposition, get information on what's happening around. It's just building versus building. Everybody's just trying to get as much information as they can right now.
So much information coming out. You're correct, Matchroom. There is so much occurring here. And with this pressure point circle in that that Lipovka region, looks like Totality has held on to at least one player. Cloud9, the first to be eliminated as far as I can tell, but Envious and Vitality tangled up here.
I gotta say, you can see that Envy is just trying to figure out how they want to play this. Everybody else is playing around buildings. They've got some type of control point. Envy is just trying to figure some way. They know that sooner or later they might have to move out of this area. They want to find some type of safe path. They want to secure it. But every time they step forward, they just run into two more squads, and it just gets a crossfire of effect that happens on them.
Looks like Purdy was the last man standing for Totality, but now it's all about Envious trying to figure out Shiv. He's on the left side flank. He might want to push a little distance here. He's got a body in front of him. Maybe scoop up some meds, some ammunition. The rest of his team holding strong in these buildings. They're playing very conservatively here. It looks like Envious can't really do anything as far as moving up.
Well, we talk about the attrition game that comes into play, and looks like Check Shooter managed to find McCoy, takes him down. They were sharing a building there. But with these very prolonged fights, you end up burning through a lot of meds like you were talking about.
Right.
You're burning through your armor, through your helmet. So that means that whenever you eventually have to move out of this point, if you do, and you move to the fields that are right next to it, you are going to be so weak if you do not get a chance to loot all the things around you. There's a ton of corpses, but it's so hard to walk around and get them because look at the minimap down there in the bottom right. There's just so many teams.
Of teams.
The moment you try to go and grab any meds, armor off of anybody that's out there that you had just gotten a kill on, somebody's going to turn around and take you down.
Another transition coming here. FaZe slow and steady so far. Will they maintain their advantage? No, they will not. It is going to go on to Lipovka. That's going to be good for the teams who are there, but for those on the edge.
He's still hunting.
Oh, Drayden is looking for Purdy. Surprise! And that is totality eliminated. Down to 13 teams. That Lipovka region's okay for now, but again, now we have the flip side where all these teams on the edge have to press in and there's not a lot of cover available.
Well, there's also a lot of awkward angles that you fire out of if you're trying to hang out in this area around Lipo. So the guys that are in the hillsides, they need to kind of reconvene, regroup, and they can still play a couple of different hill points because the guys in Lipo, there's not a lot of really good angles to shoot out from because there's that giant hill right next to it. As you can see, Lipo's off in the background where we're looking at right now while Mixie's looking at VZ. There's not a clear path out from this angle. So it's all going to be about these guys on the outside fighting while the guys on the inside of Lipo are fighting.
VZ trying to get away from Mixie. A couple shots land, and Yempty follows up with the AWM. Always watchful is Yempty. Lands that shot, and now Alliance does have the zone on FaZe. They have decent cover. FaZe has to come to them. If you're FaZe, you have to look for the opportunities, but Alliance is not going to go down without a fight.
And you can see so much pressure is now starting to come on these teams as they're trying to slowly make their way inside there. Alliance trying to do this Fuzzface on near on no life off in the distance. T-Bone doesn't look like he knows exactly where it is. Meanwhile, Hetcher
Optic has
with
a
a
line
nice
too.
angle on this. They can take some nice shots. I think that some of the guys from Space Station might also be able to see this fight.
So for FaZe, they can't take that low side path. They're getting too much pressure from Optic and the teams in Lipovka. Still 4 strong. Mixie going for the hard push. Utility is already out. Look at that perfect lineup with the smoke grenades. And now they're trying to put pressure there. Optic, oh wow,
just
dealing with
rolling
them.
straight down into it. Optic is just not going to make him landfall there. Mixie's throwing out the grenades.
He's pushing right on top. He runs right past him. T-Bone's in a flank position.
Now
Yempty trading.
Back around. Yempty does get it, but the circle is now coming in. The guys from Alliance now know exactly where this fight is happening at. Fuzzface is trying to finish this off. He's at the high ground position. He has to keep these guys down in the shack preoccupied. Meanwhile, Haxetti doesn't have time to turn around, try to get the res because there's too much pressure. The blue is right back behind them right now.
They have a little bit of time. Fuzzface is taking away Alliance's vision, throwing smokes all over their position. The nades are following up. FaZe has to make this work. They have this position they need to take. They've already lost one. Mixie is down, unable to be rezzed with all this pressure. VZ holding that side, doesn't have the vision. Fuzzface unleashes a fury of bullets. Nothing land. Well, he does land a couple of shots, but takes some in return.
Looks like we're starting to see a rejoin. Everybody from FaZe is now up on the side of it. Right as I say that, Fuzzface takes some bullets off to the side of it. That means that they've lost their high ground positioning now. The rest of the guys from FaZe now know they have to activate the low ground strategy. You can see that's why they're grouping up, trying to make use of the smokes that Alliance themselves have thrown down. But it's such a dangerous fight to take, and the blue is right here on their heels.
For Jempty, he has this flank. He doesn't have any vision. They're wondering where those shots from Space Station are coming from. Hax is trying to land those headshots. Real's got that shack position, but there's just nothing happening for them. Jempty does get it down. Hax is going to look to pressure here. Here comes Jempty. He's going right at it. One left for Alliance. The smokes have all dissipated. They're picking up kills.
And everybody knows they're inside the shack at this point. So little smoke is now up and remaining. Circle has popped. Everybody knows they have to go north. This isn't necessarily a fight that they want to commit to.
Here we go.
Are they going for an aggro window peek? I could hear the grenades popping out, but I think that they're just going to retreat back off of it. Because now Alliance has to move from this position. You can almost just set a trap for them instead. But you can see Haxetti slowly creeping up the hillside, trying to get a better angle down into that window.
Fuzz is down, but he is safe. So now they need to deal with the rest of Alliance so they can get him up. Actually, they do get the res onto Fuzzface. Yeah, so that's a nice play by them. Reals has also got the res onto Sigsy. So right now, this fight is continuing. Alliance has taken all their utility out, but FaZe has got as the flash lands for Hax. They are right on top of each other here, Matrim.
And at this point, you just want to commit. The reason why FaZe is staying in this position right now is you don't want somebody to encroach back behind you while you're doing a push into the circle. So the guys from Alliance right now are just trying to make use of whatever utility they have. Beats back around and gets a drop onto one. Can they follow it up with a second? But the side flank coming from Haxetti just takes them apart.
Nice team play from FaZe, eliminating Alliance. They are going to keep 4 strong, but they have paid a heavy cost. A lot of utility. The circle is coming. The time is not in their favor. Tempo Storm's on the way as well. Zampa, sharp shot. All of Tempo Storm about to descend. They do get their reses up, but they have to move. Maybe not enough time.
They're coming back over there. They're taking the vehicles that were in this position. Haxetti's just rolling straight up next to Zampa. Zampa misses on some of the shots, but Fuzzface with a nice flank, but he gets dropped in return.
Yempty pushing up now. They're trying to keep the pressure on, but Tempo Storm looks to have the upper hand. Now it's only Jempty. 9 teams remaining. Hax is finished off. Oh my gosh, Yempty and Fuzzface now down as well. It's up to Yempty to try and finish. He's got no helmet, nothing left. And FaZe is eliminated, going down in 9th place.
That's still a very solid performance coming out from them. They're still at the top of the leaderboard, but Tempo Storm is performing in a third spot. We still have Space Station Gaming still up and alive, where everybody right there was within touching points of each other. I mean, look at it. Space Station Gaming and FaZe are what? About 30 points separating the two of them. Space Station Gaming still strong, holding that same position off to the side. Now we're seeing a lot of these teams that were in Lippo being forced to make their way slowly up the hillside.
Optic's doing a good job of slowly making their way out. Valiate bringing some vehicles up. Vitality is still there. Check Shooter back in the blue, being forced to med. Nothing he can really do here. He's going to have to race this. Once this circle finishes, he's going to be chunked. And there's really, for Envious, nothing really as far as options are concerned. Space Station Gaming, however, now in a great spot. They found themselves in that warehouse region. They have good lines of sight.
And look at this. Check's coming up right back behind the guys from Optic. They spot him, though, instantly drop him. I love the awareness. They have to know that people are going to be trying to make their way out of Lippo. Now we've got Optic lined up. They can see Space Station Gaming. This has been a very loud fight. They know that somebody's over in this. That's the whole purpose, that information gathering that you did beforehand. Figure out where all of these teams are at and figure out how to play around it. And I really like the positioning we're seeing from Optic, but they have to push up this hillside for the next circle.
Nades coming into their position. You can hear the utility also going out. Optic having a very quiet 5th place tournament so far. This is the game they're looking to break out. Now Vitality, the last place team, stands in their way.
And I love the position that they're playing off of. 43 seconds before everybody has to move. Space Station Gaming, they've got a little bit of control in their area, so they don't really have to make any plays around this. Meanwhile, Optic is going up and allowed on so many different teams right now. They're trying to take out all these little solos. They want to get a good position for it. They're trying to just get a little bit of a curve. Can't quite connect onto it. I have to say, if you're Drayden, you have to be terrified right now. You just keep seeing all these bullets land right next to you.
There's just a little sliver that Hetcher is trying to exploit, but nothing is landing right now. Vitality's still concerned about what Optic is doing. The nade comes out. Hetcher looking for a touchdown here. He throws it across the way. The bounce, it will land short.
They've got control inside of that. They're holding down that position. Meanwhile, Voxic does go down. Vitality Shiv really coming alive on this. Andy Pyro, no helmet, right on the edge of this, just trying to creep his way in. He wants these guys, he wants everybody from Vitality to take down Knights,
circle damage.
but it's taking a little bit too long. He's got to crawl a little bit faster. There we go. We've got Tempo Storm still holding that high ground spot.
He's got the slow side of the circle. Andy trying his best to make his way in. Now Space Station Gaming getting ever closer to Optic. Looking like this is going to be a flank from Optic. I don't know if Space Station Gaming is aware how close they are.
Look at this. You can see Optic decides to pull away from it the same moment that Space Station starts to do a push. They're kind of baiting each other back and forth, using footsteps, trying to get information off of it. But Optic really wants to commit towards taking down Vitality. It seems like they know how many people are up and active over here, but there's just so many smokes down right now. There's no clear vision. Nobody can really take any easy shots.
Method does go down, and now it's all about Optic and Vitality. The shots ring out, and the trade does not go in their favor. We're actually getting the initial down on the Valiate. Optic now trying to coalesce and get around to get some more shots, but it looks like Vitality has the upper hand.
Space Station Gaming with the backwards flank, coming right back behind Optic and just starts tearing them apart back over there, but a nice spin coming off of it. Space Station just getting dropped. Hetcher will not allow his team to be taken down.
Vexo, the last man standing. Space Station Gaming getting picked apart from Tempo Storm across. The utility not laid down for them. Vexo having to back off. This has turned horrible for Space Station Gaming. Optic still with too strong. Baja is in a down
state. Stepped out into the blue, took so much damage, and then ate a bullet as well. Now it's all in the reses, and this is going to be very hard. Tempo Storm still holding a strong position. We're seeing a lot of people from Vitality getting taken out as well. Tempo Storm is coming alive on this. They know they're still 4-man strong, one person down. They already have 11 kills, Moses.
This is incredible for them. This is a great game to try and jump into first place. Vitality on the defensive. Not happening. Tempo Storm will finish off all of Vitality.
15 kills now. I gotta say, Tempo Storm is in control. Circle pops. It's near them. It's just a couple of solos right now versus Tempo Storm.
So it looks like Vexel has done a good job of holding on. They've secured themselves a top 3 placement. This should be enough for them to hold on for now, but Hetcher and Hypok looking for a res here. I don't know if he can stand up. I don't think he can do it.
I think he's afraid to go for it, because the moment he pops his head up, Tempo Storm might have an angle on it. Tempo Storm, they're perfectly fine. They're just going to sit here 8 seconds. The circle's going to start collapsing down. Just let everybody funnel into them.
Looks like Tempo Storm has got full control. You said it, Matchroom. And now it's about second place, essentially. Space Station Gaming in a great spot. Hypok has gone down to the zone. Hetcher is going to have to just make his way, and it's just a snake race at this stage. But I think, that's second place secured for Vexel. Now let's see if he can make a hero play.
But Space Station Gaming, Tempo Storm, these are guys that have been at the top of the leaderboard for the past couple of days. I mean, Vexel's got his work cut out for him. They've got 2 kills. He might have a fun angle coming in on this, but I mean, the circle's just creeping up on him this point. The moment he has to pop his head up, you can see that there's
Yeah,
a road out in front of him. He's got to take the step up. Nobody from Tempo is looking this way, though.
Oh,
there
the
goes the Pan! Drops down, tries to feed it to the blue.
Smart.
With that, Tempo Storm takes its round.
Really nice game from them. They were the spoilers and pick up a ton of kills on the way to it. Space Station Gaming picking up a second place, only 2 kills, but really the story was FaZe going out in 9th. Yeah. I'm very interested to see what the analyst desk has to say about that. Frankie and the boys, what do you think?
Thank you so much, Matrim and Moses. And I think we aren't surprised, really, that Tempo Storm have finally got themselves a chicken dinner because they've been consistent from day one, haven't they?
I mean, they've been extremely consistent. We talked about them before they started here. They had 110 points behind FaZe. We talked about it. You said it, Por. They need to go show. You need to hunt them down. If you want to win, it's the time to show up now. And obviously, that's what Tempo heard. And also, I had a small pep talk because obviously I picked Tempo Storm, so I had to have a pep talk with Sandpa. And I asked them, "What are you gonna do? I need my
You're gonna take credit for NA winning not to?
No.
Oh my goodness gracious! Yeah, before it's oh they have a U player team on their team. It's fine. But no. Tempo absolutely getting on board with. They understand the position that they're in. They understand where the game is at right now. They know that they need to get these kills. And Zampa performing like Zampa of old, 8 kills, just carrying this team, just pulling them, forcing them to play aggressively, and man, it's working out great for them. So I can't wait to see the leaderboards. I'm excited.
I'm really excited to see the bounty board, and I know that we're going to see that very shortly. But first off, we're going to have our Dollar Shave Club interview. I'm just wondering what Master Dave is going to ask them, because those boys must be beside themselves right now. They finally edged it into first, and also they potentially now second in the table because it's so close at the moment.
I even think they might be first. They had 15 kills.
And
honestly, they could be fifth.
Tempo Storm have never won a LAN before.
Nope. They've come top 3
always
multiple
been
times.
close.
Yeah. They've been close. Oakland, they were close as well. Previous roster, I know, but again, with this roster, I think they can really clinch it out.
It has taken a while for them to find this particular form, though, hasn't it, Martin?
I mean, they're with a sub here, so they're not with their usual players. They're kind of in a mid-transition. I don't know completely what's happening, what's contract-wise, but this lineup is really working for them. Having Sharpshot as their sub, it's really working for them. He's fragging out. But again, for me, Sandpa, their star player, but also their in-game leader, there are 4 guys in the end, and when there are 4 guys in the end, they're a strong team.
Yeah, and you also can't disregard the fact that Optic, Space Station, Method, all those teams also still in that top 6, even though FaZe went out early.
It's close indeed, but Mustache Dave is ready with the Dollar Shave Club interview with Tempo Storm.
First team to eliminate FaZe today. How does that feel?
It feels pretty good. We saw they were 2 knocks, so we just pushed, and it turned out they were all res, but we wiped them anyways.
Ho ho. Also, you had a 1v4?
Yeah, I 1v4'd Vitality. I had my 2 worst guns. I had my M16 and AK. I wasn't feeling the AK, but then it happened. I got 2 knocks, then 3, then 4. They were all dead.
All dead. All right, so going into this game, you guys were 3rd place?
Yeah, we should be first.
After this?
Second. We should be second to SSG, right? First or second? Yeah, first.
First or second.
All right, so what do you guys plan on doing for the next game?
Just win. Hard rotate, scout, shoot, win.
Easy, easy. All right, we're going to toss it back to the desk. Thank you, guys.
And here's a Rockstar highlight. Obviously, here's Sandbar taking down FaZe here because they saw this knock. They saw the kill feed popping off, so they decided to push on it. And obviously, that's what you got to do. We talked about it before this. When you see knocks in the kill feed and you see FaZe, you got to